What's good, y'all? On to my review for Luke Cage Season 2, and man, this season was fucking awesome, man. Luke Cage is still the king! Luke Cage is still the GOAT! Luke Cage is still the king of the Marvel Netflix series, in my personal opinion. So let's get into it. Luke Cage Season 2 stars my man Mike Kohler as our boy Luke Cage, Simone Mesquite as Misty, Alfre Woodard as, Mariah Dillard. Mariah Stokes. Mustafa Shakir as Bushmaster. They're going to be Bushmaster. Love that guy. Rosario Dawson, Claire, Theo, Rosie, Shades, and many more. And so the plot of Season 2 of Luke Cage is that it obviously takes place after the events of the Defenders. Now this is to the Defenders what Iron Man 3 was to Avengers, where this one definitely feels like it has the most connection to the events of the Avengers, or Defenders in this case. And this definitely feels like truly like the aftermath of that event, because in Iron Man 3, it was all about Tony's anxiety he had after the events of the Avengers, what he saw, and this is all about his anxiety he got from these. Here it was very similar, mostly with Misty. It was mostly with Misty in the first couple episodes, with her dealing with her missing arm, which I love that. I love those first few episodes where before she gets her mechanical arm, she just has to deal with it, how she deals with it. It's just overall. Her performance in there was fucking amazing. I loved it. Now, I know what some of y'all might be wondering, in case you haven't already seen Luke Cage Season 2. How does this, since, as we all know, all this, along with Iron Fist and Daredevil, have all been cancelled. So, in case you haven't seen the series, how does the ending fare? Is it a satisfactory enough conclusion to where we don't desperately need a Season 3 to know what the hell happens next? In my personal opinion, no. Now, granted, there is a bunch of there is some setup for a season that's probably going to happen, but it did now. Apparently, rumor has it that the Season 3 got canceled, and that Luke Cage got canceled because of creative differences with Season 3. I'd say that probably played a part. I'd say the other reason was probably ratings, just because nobody has been talking about Luke Cage Season 2. Nobody. You look at all the big guys that review the Netflix series we've seen, Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, all those guys that were reviewing Luke Cage Season 1, Daredevil Season 1, Season 2, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist. Nobody's literally talked about Luke Cage Season 2. Nobody. I looked up on YouTube and there's I barely found any reviews. There was only a handful of reviews I found. That sucks, because this season was fucking amazing. I love this season. So now, yes, it does. Now, like I said, it does leave enough. It does set up enough for Season 3. But I'd say what was given, the ending was definitely satisfactory enough to where I can live without a Season 3. I can live without it. But who knows? Maybe we might get Season 3 on the Disney streaming service when that gets started up. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see on that. So anyway, enough talking about that. Let us get to the cast. Although there's one thing I will say, I love the ending to Luke Cage Season 2. I thought it was great. But I'll leave you guys to the ending, at least for the spoiler-free discussion right here. I'll talk more about the ending in the spoiler discussion later on. But this is all I'm going to say about the ending. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So, first thing, now let's get into the pros I liked about this series. First off, the cast. Like I said, I mentioned some of the cast members before, and by God, do these guys just give Oscar-worthy performances. All of them. Especially Alfre Woodard as Mariah. She has such a commanding presence in this season. Every time she's on screen, she just dominates the scene. She just dominates it. You thought Sigourney Weaver had to dominate a presence in the Defenders? Nah, y'all ain't seen shit until you see Mariah in season. She was great in Season 1, but since she's pretty much the head honcho right now, and this season, since Cottonmouth is dead and everything, she runs the shit. She's the queen. Since she now has a much bigger role than she did in Season 1, she just has much more screen time, and she's just overall just has this huge, dominating presence throughout the season. Now let's talk about the villain we had for this season, Bushmaster. Let's get this out of the way right now. Is he better than Cottonmouth? No. I'm sorry. I'd say Bushmaster was an amazing villain on his own, and was definitely one of the best villains we've gotten in the MCU and the Marvel Netflix series. But he just isn't as good as Cottonmouth. I don't know what it was about Cottonmouth that why I fell in love with him as much as I do. Maybe it was his backstory, maybe it was just Ali's performance, but well, Mustafa Shakir does an amazing job playing him. He personally just doesn't have that same it factor that Cottonmouth had in season 1. And speaking of Cottonmouth, they even have, remember in season 1 where they did like that whole painting, symbolism thing where Cottonmouth would like be like right in front of like the Biggie poster, and like the crown would be right by his head. When Cottonmouth's head was like right on top of it. They do that same thing here in season 2 with Mariah and Shades, because for some reason this season they're dating. They're a thing, which I'll talk more about that later on in the review. But overall, I thought Bushmaster was an amazing villain. But one thing I will say is that, by God, does Alfre Woodard and Gabriella Dennis, they both deserve Oscars for their performances, especially in episode 9, which was, funnily enough, titled For Pete's Sake. Netflix, y'all got no chill calling it that. Y'all got no chill, because I won't go into any details what happens in that episode for spoiler reasons, obviously, but I didn't even tweet about this. I even tweeted about this, that this is the episode where I thought, yeah, this is better than season 1. This is better than season 1 because of their performances in that episode, and just, well, because by God, they both give amazing performances in that episode. And I really dug the dynamic between Alfre and Gabrielle as Mariah, as Gabrielle plays Mariah's daughter, and I like the little dynamic they have where where they're pretty much polar opposites. While Mariah is trying to get out of the family business but just can't, Gabrielle wants nothing to do with it. She's over here doing her own thing with this like a mystical medicine shop called Mother's Touch, where she uses herbs and all that mystic voodoo shit that works, and instead of using normal medicine, all that stuff, using the earth, using the power of Mother Nature for all that stuff. She's doing her own thing, and then Mariah's trying to reconnect with her daughter for some other reasons, and I really love the dynamic between those two. I already talked about Misty and how I love the dynamic with her, with how she's handling her missing arm in the first few episodes, after when it really deals with the aftermath of the Defenders. All that shit I love. I loved how Simone played Misty in those first few episodes. And she was great throughout the whole series, but those first 3 episodes, like those first 3 or 4 episodes, were definitely when Simone was at her best, when she's really where Misty's really dealing with her missing arm. I loved that. Was definitely the highlight of her. Yeah, that's all I got about to say the cast. So let's move on to another thing I love, the music. Since, of course, this movie is the series. The main villain of the series is Bushmaster, who is indeed Jamaican. There is a decent amount of reggae tracks in this soundtrack, and I thought they were pretty good. There is still that decent chunk of hip-hop music, those rap songs. The songs they used, but the actual OST itself, the actual soundtrack, was amazing. Like, my favorite songs were probably Family First. Oh my God, do I love that song. I love that song. That sounds amazing. And also, there was another song I really loved, but I can't remember the name of it. The soundtrack overall was just phenomenal, in my personal. I love the soundtrack. And yeah, performances, acting, soundtrack, yep. I also really dug the poster they have for the season where Luke Cage is carrying Harlem on his back. I thought that was a really nice touch. I really dug that one. So let's move on to the negatives. Now, I don't really have too many negatives for the series. But I do have a couple. One, the relationship between Shades and Mariah. Now, I don't know if this was done on purpose, but I did not buy it. I do not like it. It's not Attack of the Clones bad, but it's definitely no MJ and Peeta. They just don't have much romantic chemistry between each other. When they're making out and kissing, you just can't really buy it. It feels more cringy than anything else. And I just couldn't get behind their relationship. That's something I did not like, was their relationship, because it just didn't feel right. It felt forced. It felt unnatural. Now, I don't know if they did that on purpose, or if that's just me, but I never was a fan of the relationship. I never liked that. Another thing I loved, one other thing I wasn't really a fan of, that I found that kind of made me scratch my head a little bit, was the fact that we have major players that were in season 1 and also have a decent enough role. And another character I did love. I can't find his name, but the dude that plays Luke Cage's father, he was great. Although unfortunately the dude actually passed away after filming, I'm assuming, because they had like this little tribute at the end at the last episode. But so if that guy sucks. But the dude, he did an amazing job playing Luke Cage's father. I love the dynamic between those two. That was also great. So back to what I was saying. So there's two characters in particular from season 1 that were in season 1, had big roles in season 1, and have a decent enough role in the first half of season 2, but then they both vanish. Now they're both given reasons on why they vanished, but I question why they even disappeared, because when shit hits the fan at the end of the season, around the second half of it, when shit really hits the fan, I would have loved to see what they would have done. And how they would have just I feel like they could have added a lot. That could have also added more to season 2, and why I probably could also add why I loved it more than season 1. I still love season 2 more than season 1, but that could have really added it. And I don't know if there was like scheduling issues or some other stuff, but I did find it weird how these two characters from season 1 that had decent roles in them, that were pretty big, and also decent roles in season 2, just suddenly vanished. I found that kind of weird. And yeah, so that's all I really gotta say in my spoiler-free review of Luke Cage season 2. Overall, if you were a fan of season 1, you are going to love season 2. If you were someone that didn't like season 2, or season 1, I should say, I don't think season 2 is going to change that much for you. Although I'd still probably recommend you give it a chance, just because episode 9. Oh my God, episode 9. So I'm going to end the spoilers-free section here after I give my final verdict. So, overall, I would give Luke Cage Season 2 a 10 out of 10. Yes, the streak is still alive. Nothing but 10 for the Marvel Netflix series. And actually, the trailer for The Punisher Season 2 just dropped, and y'all know how hyped as hell as I am. My reaction's already up. So you guys know I'm hyped as hell, and I cannot wait to see Luke Cage, or I can't wait to see The Punisher Season 2, but I still got Iron Fist Season 2 and Daredevil Season 3 to get through before I get the Punisher Season 2, but I'm hyped as hell. So, let's get into the sports section in 3, 2, 1. Okay, y'all still here? Great. So let's get into it. Episode 9. Dear God. Okay, so we find out that Mariah's daughter, she is not only a product of rape, but also incest, because Mariah was raped by her uncle. I swear, it's always uncles. Why is it always uncles? Why is it never brothers, or fathers, or fucking nephews? It's always uncles. I don't know why it's always uncles. But... And that whole scene where Mariah is telling her this whole story, and you see Gabriella, she is just crying, and oh my God, they're crying. Fucking amazing. She was just crying like... awesome. And when Mariah says, I tried to love you, but I couldn't, because every time I see you, I just see Pete's face. Oh, yo, and she just goes in on her daughter. Oh, bro, that whole ending, oh my God, that's when I was like, yes. Season 2 is better than season 1. That whole scene. Oh my God, I loved it. And I loved it when Mariah's daughter visits the Stokes graves, and she talks about how she was a product of rape and incest. Her acting there, oh, I really hope to God this woman gets like a Grammy, an Emmy, or some form of an award for like best supporting character, because she was amazing there, I should say. Now let's talk about the ending. Now, like I said before at the beginning of this review, you either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Man, does that ring true for this ending? So we find out that after Mariah dies, and because her daughter did like this stuff, made some concoction, like some poisonous concoction that looked like lipstick, and she like kissed her mom on the lips, and then she just dies, some form of poison, I assume. She has this will, and for her daughter, she gave him Cottonmouth his keyboard. But for Luke Cage, she gave him the nightclub. She gave him Harlem's Paradise. Actually, right before I'm talking about the end, let me talk about Shades real quick. Actually, I have a little funny story about Shades. So when I first saw after I saw season 1, and like around the tail end of like in my final year of high school, one of my friends who's also he's a Marvel fan. He's not as big as I am, but watches a couple of the Netflix series here and there. But watches some of the Netflix series and stuff. I think he's actually even seen Luke Cage, but yeah. Anyway, so as I was saying, so the dude was telling me about like this article he read or video he saw about people. You guys may remember this. People were bitching and moaning about like, oh, there's no white people in Luke Cage. There's no white people, even though the show takes place in Harlem, which is predominantly black. So for all the people bitching and moaning, congratulations, you get your white people in season 2. We had Danny, which I love Danny. When Danny was in that one episode, I forget which episode it was. I think it was like 10. I love the chemistry between him and Luke. Fucking amazing. Loved it. And I really hope that we see more of Luke Cage and Danny in Iron Fist season 2 when I get around to watching that. But yeah, love their dynamic in season 1, or love their dynamic in that episode. It was great. And I love the dynamic between Misty and Colleen when they had their moments in Luke Cage season 2, when Misty's dealing with Misty's still dealing with her missing arm and everything. I love that whole scene in the bar where this dude's trying to pick up on her, and then we found this dude's like, yeah, you took out my brother, so they have this whole fight scene. And Misty and Colleen just kicked their asses. That was cool. But back to what I was saying, shades. So, and back to what I was saying. So I said, oh yeah, there are white people in season 1, and I said it was Shades because I thought Shades was white. But then I find out when my season 2, the dude's actually Stag, and I'm like, oh fuck, so I was wrong. And I'm Hispanic too, so I'm Hispanic too, so I have a bit of shame about that. I can't even tell my own people. I can't even tell my own. I legit thought Shades was white, but yeah. So I was wrong there. But as I was saying, with Shades, I love this whole scene where after he sees Mariah, when she fully just says, fuck it, I'm a Stokes, and I'm gonna be one, she goes full crazy, full gangster, and she burns this dude alive, and she burns, I think it was Bushmaster's uncle. She burns him alive, and she lights him, and she's like, Jesus, die already, and shoots him, just because, he was crying. And I really thought the CGI overall was pretty good on the fire. As well as around beginning of the series when Luke Cage gets as part of that explosion, gets out of the explosion. I thought the overall CGI was pretty good with the fire. And so as I was saying, so he got after that, he's like, okay, Mariah, she's crazy. She's gone too far. He turns himself into the police, turns himself in, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna tell you guys everything. And when he's getting interrogated, and he's talking about, when he's commenting about season 1, when he talked about season 1 about, what happened with Chico, and the fact that Cottonmouth, threw Tone off the building of Harlem Fair. I love Tony's, what was his name? Shades, the dude, what the hell is that dude's name? So his name slipped my mind right now. Theo Rosie. This dude just had so much charisma, and he just dominated scene he was talking about, and he just had this smile. Oh my god, this dude has one of the best smiles, best, I guess, evil smiles ever, I've ever seen in the Marvel Netflix series. And he's just talking about, he took that punk Tone and threw him off the building of Harlem's Paradise. He screams all the way down like a little bitch. That shit was perfect. That whole scene, oh my god, did I rewatch that over and over and over again because I couldn't get enough of it. This dude was amazing. He was spectacular. So, let's get to the ending. So like I said, Mariah gives Luke Cage the club. At first he says, no, burn it to the ground, but next time we see him, he's in a suit, running the club. So I guess sometime off screen, he decides, no, let me run the club. Where, like I said before, he becomes a villain essentially. He's now the crime boss, because, and I like the whole stuff with DW, or D-Dubs, whatever the dude's name is, where, where Luke Cage kind of was starting to talk to some of the mob bosses, and worked out some deals to make sure that the crimes stay clean, and, that the crimes, the crime rate isn't as bad as it used to be. I thought that whole scene was like, nah, man, you can't do this. And he says, that Pop's Barber Shop, this is Switzerland. So you're allowed here to get your hair cut, but you ain't allowed to work here. You ain't allowed to do your hero work here. I love that whole scene. Scene there. That was amazing. And when he's in the club, and then he just tells, and the dude, and Sugar tells him, hey man, hey man, your girlfriend's here. He says, no, tell it to, I forget her name. Her name is slipping my mind right now. Claire. Claire's in the club. We don't see her, but he says that she's in the club. And he tells her to leave, and just, man, like, I hope that we do get to see, just to see what like an almost, you could say, villainous Luke Cage could be like. Cause like how they ended it, it's enough where I don't desperately want a season 3, but where I can live without it. But I really would like to see because, like I said, Luke Cage has become the villain now, and I would love to see where they were going to go with this in season 3. So that's very interesting. I would like to see. And yeah, that's about all I got to say about the spoilers discussion I have for Luke Cage season 2. So yeah, the season was amazing. Definitely looking forward to watching season 2 of Iron Fist. Hopefully, it's probably gonna be pretty good. Hopefully, I'm just hoping it's better than season 1, because I won't lie, I think season 1 is probably, if I rewatch it again, I probably would drop my rating for season 1 if I ever do go back and rewatch it. But yeah, so anyway guys, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, fill in the links down in the description box below. As always, come back for more. See you guys next time.
She's too